Chrisley knows best. Alum, Julie Chrisley, has received a shocking probation change. She had a resentencing trial in September 2024, but that left her and her family heartbroken. So, what happened with probation? Keep reading for all of the details and fan reactions. Julie Chrisley receives shocking probation change. Julie Chrisley's family was very optimistic when her resentencing approached. They were hopeful that she could get lucky and even be released within the year. Sadly, that was not the outcome, so they had to keep their heads held high and look toward what they could do next. She and her husband, Todd Chrisley, were sentenced to a collective 19 years behind bars for tax evasion, fraud, and conspiracy. They entered two separate prisons in January 2023, with Todd in Florida while Julie is serving time in Kentucky. Julie is going to keep fighting, and her family still will keep praying that she and Todd come home sooner rather than later. Their daughter, Savannah Chrisley, has been very open about prison life and the trial. She talks about the abuse her parents have endured, especially on her father's end. Furthermore, she guides fans and followers through all the steps of how her parents communicate, even if they are limited. Now, she is opening up about her mother's shocking probation change. In a twist, it was extended by 2 years. According to Monsters and Critics, Savannah shared her heartbreak over this news on her Unlocked podcast. Instead of taking away time, the judge actually added 2 years onto her probation. So that's 2 more years in custody basically, and that was just astonishing to me. It's not over per Savannah, as the family is determined to appeal the ruling. They are not stopping until they believe justice has been served. Savannah was struggling to understand it all. She went on to add, "How does less evidence somehow lead to more time? It's hard to make sense of it all." Immediately, fans and followers of Savannah's were blown away by the news of Julie Chrisley's extended probation. They chimed in with their thoughts and they agreed with her daughter. Make it make sense. Fans spoke out in favor of Julie Chrisley after Savannah Chrisley shared her heartbreak over the shocking probation situation. They failed to understand why this was happening and felt this was the incorrect punishment. That judge is wrong. She's doing this out of hate and meanness. We all know the sentence does not fit the crime. That is crazy. People who do worse get less time, praying for you. I don't condone what Todd and Julie did, but adding 2 more years to her sentencing is wrong. Especially when she's been a model prisoner. Hopefully, Savannah will take solace in all of the support she has been receiving and see that many do not agree with this drastic change. As one person said, they may not agree with the crime, but this extension of 2 years is completely unnecessary. What are your thoughts on Julie's new probation, and do you think it is completely wrong? Let us know in the comments below. Julie Chrisley sat at her usual spot in the prison's common area, her hands gripping a letter she had received earlier in the day. She'd long grown used to the sterile monotony of her environment, but this piece of paper disrupted her sense of routine. The letter, bearing the insignia of the United States Probation Office, outlined a change in her probation terms. Her heart raced as she reread the lines, each word weighing heavily on her. Her probation conditions, originally structured to allow a smoother transition into post-prison life, were now drastically altered. The update stated she would face stricter supervision, including mandatory weekly check-ins. A family torn apart. Meanwhile, Todd Chrisley was sitting in his cell in a separate federal facility. Though the couple had always been each other's rocks, their time apart had been grueling. Todd's normally buoyant demeanor was dimmed by the knowledge that he couldn't be there to comfort Julie during this ordeal. When word reached him about the probation changes, his reaction was visceral. "This is absurd," he told his lawyer during a scheduled call. "Julie's already paid the price. Why are they doing this to her now?" Todd knew that their public profiles had made them targets, but this felt personal. He suspected that their outspoken criticisms of the justice system during their trial had not been forgotten. Back at home, the Chrisley children, Savannah, Chase, and Grayson, were equally blindsided by the news. Savannah, the most vocal advocate for her parents' innocence, immediately took to social media to vent her frustrations. "This isn't justice," she posted. "This is a vendetta. They're trying to break her spirit, and we won't stand for it." Savannah's post went viral within hours, drawing a mix of support from fans and skepticism from critics. Navigating the new reality. Julie's lawyer, Margaret Fulton, wasted no time organizing an emergency meeting with the probation office to seek clarity. Julie, still grappling with the news, joined the meeting via video conference. Margaret was direct in her approach. "Can you explain the rationale for these changes?" Margaret asked, her tone firm but respectful. "Mrs. Chrisley has shown nothing but compliance and good behavior during her incarceration." The probation officer, a stern-faced man named Richard Lowry, offered a vague response. "These changes are meant to ensure accountability. Given the high-profile nature of the case, we need to set an example." Julie's voice, calm but resolute, cut through the tension. "An example of what, exactly?" "Of how the justice system continues to punish people even after they've served their time." Lowry avoided eye contact. It was clear to Julie and Margaret that this wasn't about accountability, it was about optics. The emotional fallout. The emotional toll on Julie was immediate. She had been clinging to the hope that her eventual release would mark the beginning of a new chapter, one where she could reconnect with her family and rebuild her life. But these new restrictions threatened to shatter that hope. "I just want to be a mother again," Julie confided in a phone call to Savannah. "I want to come home, cook dinner, and be there for you all." "Is that too much to ask?" Savannah, trying to be strong for her mother, reassured her. "We're going to fight this, Mom. You've always taught us to stand up for what's right, and that's exactly what we'll do." A public outcry. The news of Julie's probation changes quickly made headlines. Public opinion was divided, as it had been throughout the Chrisleys' legal battles. Some saw the new terms as excessive, while others argued that they were justified given the nature of the couple's crimes. Legal analysts weighed in on the controversy. "This level of supervision is unusual for someone like Julie Chrisley," said former federal prosecutor Jenna Marshall during a television segment. "It raises questions about whether her celebrity status is playing a role in these decisions." Advocacy groups also took notice. Organizations focused on criminal justice reform began rallying behind Julie, citing her case as an example of systemic overreach. The Chrisley children take action. Determined to help their mother, the Chrisley children decided to take their advocacy to the next level. Savannah spearheaded a campaign called